Well, hello, my friends. Dorothy here. We are going to talk about Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. I know we've heard it before. It has happened a few times for a few months in 2023 and a few months in 2024. However, at this recording, it's going to go into Aquarius in November 19th, 2024, and it will stay in that sign until March of 2043. Yeah, long time. And so come back to this once in a while when you feel like digging in more. Let's go through what it represents, what it means for all of us. It is not a quick transit like any of the new moon, full moons, Mercury retrogrades. It's nothing like any of those things because when Pluto is moving through a new sign, and it's going to stay in there now, so we're not going back into Capricorn anymore. It gives us an opportunity to start to shift and evolve. And evolution, that whole process takes a long time. So the only way that we can really see what is truly evolving is in hindsight. So as we evolve forward and as we move in further into Pluto in Aquarius, we'll get more and more awareness around what truly is shifting and changing. We're going to see it. Obviously, we can see it on a global scale. We could see that already. Nobody's surprised with that. As astrologers have been talking about the United States Pluto return for a long time, and it is still in effect. It is still going through that whole process. But I want to share the screen with you so you have something to look at besides my face, which is appropriate. I don't have Leo on anything in my chart. But this is what the chart looks like. And this is when it is finally, just from my latitude, longitude. Don't worry about house placements. We're not talking about that. We're just going to give us a lot of information around what to do with that Pluto while it is in the sign of Aquarius. Okay. So Pluto, the dawn of this new era. I have this written out on my blog too, guys. You can read it. You can go in depth. Here, I just sort of riff on what I know. The blog post, a couple thousand, almost 3,000 words. You can go read that and get a lot of detail and go back to that whenever you want to reference what's going on in your life. But when we look at Pluto in Aquarius, it is the dawn of a new era. Anytime Pluto enters a new sign, and it takes, depending on what sign it is, it could be 20 years, 18 years, it varies. The point being, Pluto in Aquarius is representing this new humanitarian focus, right? So for the next lot of years, 16 plus, we have this collective awakening, if you will. It's going to take some time, but this collective awakening is about embracing independence and moving into like new energy, new ideas, and empowering ourselves as well as empowering others. This is the age of Aquarius. Everybody's heard that. We've been talking about that for decades now. But with Pluto in Aquarius, this definitely gives us the super vibe that we are absolutely in that Aquarian age. And it is encouraging us to break away from old, outdated systems so we can imagine a world that is more harmonious, more inclusive, if you will, forward thinking and connected. Now, we know this shift doesn't happen without challenges. We can see it all across the globe at this point in time. And it's going to take a number of years, a few, 2, 3, 4, approximately, for us to really get used to what that forward thinking looks like, the new energy that we're here on the planet, this new Aquarian energy that we really want to embody. It takes time for us to, as humanity, to really dig into something like that, to process. Because with Pluto spending so much time in Capricorn and at pivotal points in history it's just like last week, it's like early November 2024, just looking at as Pluto in Capricorn, breaking things down so we're able to rebuild. And that breaking down of structures leaves things very limited. And that is what we've been feeling 2023, 2024, with Pluto at the end of Capricorn, but making two quick hits, retrogrades back into Aquarius, but back into Capricorn. So it has created a lot of shifts and changes. Just think of when a person, really gets an old house and just guts it. Takes a long time to take the insides of this house out. It takes a long time to get down to just the studs. And to me, that's how I see, just as a visual metaphor, if you will, a visual that, Pluto in Capricorn has done to us, giving us that opportunity. And when if you've ever done it or even seen a video about it, just go check it out. There's a way you can look at it if you don't know what I'm talking about. Pull the drywall, pull everything out, and then you can see it's like, wow, we can't take that out because that's a support beam in holding up this whole wall. You learn when you start to destruct things and remove things. This is the end of Pluto and the end of Capricorn. It That's terrific, but you also have to pay attention to those types of things. What are the structural things that we cannot remove? So when you're gutting a house, what the framing of it is, the incredibly important foundational structural beams, the beams that really hold their structural beams. So you can't remove those. And this is where we're at with Pluto at the very end of Capricorn. It's where we were with Pluto at the very end of Capricorn. And then we just have to haul everything out to the dumpster. That's no good, right? And then once we that's what we're doing as we're getting ready as Pluto is just moving into Aquarius. It's just giving us an opportunity to take out all the garbage, all the stuff that is not going to be part of what the new renovation of humanity looks like. Right? We're just getting rid of, slowly moving away from all these old systems that haven't worked well at all. And this is so important to think about, because once that's done, and then we clean up inside this house, and all we have left is just the framing of it. And you can see what structure is going to stay, what needs to be shored up a bit, or new things that need to be added in for the structure and the foundation. This is what the next couple of years can feel like, because Pluto's not going to go that far into Aquarius before it retrogrades. It keeps, it just goes back and forth like all the planets retrograde, of course. And Pluto in 2025 will get as far as 3 degrees and 49 minutes ephemeris. And that just means, as long as Pluto's in that first deck in the first 10 degrees of Aquarius, we're going to be rebuilding, and it's going to take a lot of blueprints, a lot of planning, and a lot of cooperation, which we don't actually have right now. The US is just we're sort of in a bit of an upheaval, if you hadn't noticed. And so it's going to take some time. It's definitely going to take some time, but it will be worth it, because we really have to remember, but it's going to take time for us to remember that, balance is definitely going to be key here. Not sure how we're going to get that yet, but Aquarius thrives on being innovative, and we don't want innovative and creative. I'm going to say creative, but it's the Aquarius energies, the Aquarius mind. It's thinking it forward. It's just moving into just a higher vibration, so we can move away from what hasn't worked and what isn't working anymore. And again, our country is a good example of that. But I want you to think about it in your own world, because Pluto is somewhere in your chart. I have that written out on my blog. I'm not going to talk about it here, but I have that written out on my blog. But you can see what house it's in, and it can tell you where you are slowly making these evolutionary changes, okay? And raising your vibration, thinking things from, just the higher mind, because it is that Aquarius energy is fixed air, but it's just definitely about, really embracing new ways and new vibrations and new ways of thinking and processing. We can't forget the old lessons of Capricorn. Just like I said, we have to keep the studs. We have to keep the foundational pieces of like what's inside a home that we've just gutted because it's too old. Everything has to come out so we can start fresh with the foundation of where we started. And that's what we're doing in our country, but that's also what you're doing in your life. That's what you should be doing in your life. You should be seeing where things are changing. Things feel uncomfortable when for a lot of people, when there's something new happening. I know we all do. I was pulling some cards from these decks here. I have John Holland's deck and the Native Spirit deck. I love this one. I picked Coyote out of here, and Coyote reminds me of a Gemini, which I am. And, it's all about lots of information, but it also is a reminder that to trust what you feel and to know that even when some things look as bad as they look, there will be something positive that comes out of it. Now, I'm not a spiritualist that's just all woo-woo and don't worry, everything's for a higher purpose. I mean, I do believe that, but I also am very grounded, Taurus rising, Cap moon. I'm also very grounded, and I believe that what we feel is what we feel, and the steps that we take to keep ourselves, feeling comfortable and safe and secure, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, is very important. I'm not dismissing things, but I do know once we move through this rough period, because this is a rough period, a lot of people are not interested in taking steps forward into something fresh and new, because new sometimes scares people. I know. So we do have that. And let me stop my share. Hold on. Here we go. So yeah, we're in this new era, and it's important for us to pay attention and sort of reimagine what it is that we want to move into. I know everyday life, we have our work, we have our jobs, we have our family. Of course, all of those things are very important. You're going to continue to do those things. But as we slowly move further and further with Pluto into Aquarius, um, it's about transforming and embracing these new possibilities that are present for us while we have Pluto in Aquarius. All right. So these early days of it can feel really feisty and fiery and uncomfortable because change is change. But as it moves along, we are going to get a little more comfortable with newer ideas and taking your life in a different direction. It doesn't mean you're leaving everything behind. Just remember that analogy, that example, that metaphor I just told about the house. You're not getting rid of everything, but the things that are excess and things that aren't working anymore from the old systems, definitely be open to looking at what that is, okay, for yourself. Now, later in the year of 2025, I have a forecast I'll be doing. By the time this comes out, I'll have it out the forecast for 2025, and it's about an hour and a half, 2-hour lecture. I do it every year. I'll have it out before Thanksgiving. You can pre-buy it now. I'll put a link below, or wherever I am, I'll put the link. It's on my website too. And so come and check that out. But I want to talk a little bit about that, because in 2025, let's see, we have Neptune here. I'm going to share the screen with you. I actually brought those charts up. See if I can get that to do. Yeah, right. This is the Pluto. Here is the first one. Here is Neptune. Neptune and Saturn both will enter Aries this year. And this is Neptune entering Aries. It's in March 2025. And I'm going to talk about that in a sec. And then here is Saturn entering Aries in May 24th, 2025. Where is it? It's down there. There it is. Come on, Zoom. My toolbar is in the way. So what we have with that, the energy, make sure I am sharing the right screen. Yes, I am. Terrific. Actually, I don't have to stop the share again. So what happens with that is, with Saturn into Aries in May, Neptune into Aries in March, this gives us a really big opportunity for taking steps forward. Now, it's really dynamic. First off, let's start with the one that happens first, Neptune in Aries, while Pluto is in Aquarius. So we have two outer planets, Saturn, Neptune, and then Pluto, of course, all shifting signs this year. and they're shifting signs into either air or fire. Jupiter is in air right now, but it's significant because that means those are the masculine signs in the sense, not gender masculine, that they're outgoing and they're action facing, right? They're action oriented, so it's that yang energy. So when we have Neptune, first off, moving into Aries on March 30th, it will be there March 30th, 2025 to October 2025. Then it retrogrades back to Pisces. What this astrological energy is about determination and drive. When Neptune moves into the sign of Aries, we're going to be able to, the fog is going to lift. We are actually finally going to be able to see things clearly. Neptune's been in Pisces for almost 2 decades now, almost. And, we've been in this illusion of security and this illusion, this dreamlike haze for a very long time. Very, very long time. When Neptune gets into Aries, we're going to be able to see a little more clarity. It's like a foggy day. When the sun finally comes out on a foggy day, it burns the fog off. Well, Neptune in Aries represents that way. We will be able to see clearly what's going on. And it can create a lot of frustration because all of a sudden our eyes are open and we get to see what is happening. That Aries energy as well, working with the Aquarius energy. These 2 zodiac signs are sextile, so the planets are sextile. Saturn sextile Pluto, Neptune sextile Pluto. Saturn and Neptune will get close throughout the year, but of 2025, they won't make the exact conjunction until, I can't have the date in my head right now, sorry, I think it's 2026. The point being, with Neptune in Aries, we're going to be able to take some steps, move forward, and really get out of, find the drive, what is that's important for us. So a lot of fire and a lot of fire and a lot of push. With Saturn in the sign of Aries, Saturn loves this sign because Saturn is a cardinal sign, a planet that's cardinal, and Aries is a cardinal sign. It favors this sign besides its own in Capricorn. It really likes this. It is about being driven, and it is about taking steps forward and building for a new future. Building for a new future. That is Saturn in Aries. So we have all of this happening simultaneously with Pluto in Aquarius. I know I didn't go just Pluto in Aquarius on this, but it gives us a little insight into how the whole year, just as an umbrella statement, even though it's about 20 minutes long here, it gives us that insight into what steps we can take. We're going to feel like we have a lot of action that we need to take. There is a lot of conflict that can happen with these 2 planets in the sign of Aries because we've just been a bit complacent for too long. We've been kind of either staying back and not interested in confrontation. I'm never interested in confrontation, but it is very energizing for us to it gives us an opportunity, if you will, to remove our old ways of thinking, just releasing the old chains of the old ways. So we're able to start to take some steps forward. We have a number of years, especially while Saturn will be in Aries for 2.5 years as usual. And Neptune will be in Aries. I didn't look at it's almost 20 years. It's usually around 18 years or so. And Pluto in Aquarius for a real similar time frame as Neptune, because they're kind of pacing each other at this point. And that gives us a long time to work through these long things that are really happening. So that is a vibe that is just kind of going through all of us across the globe. So don't want you to take this as something that is so fearful because Pluto, everybody, you can just Google Pluto, and it is about the ending of things. But things have to be a little chaotic. Things have to end before they begin, right? You just think of the birthing process and just how crazy amazing it is, but as birthing is happening, it is just an absolute mess. It's noisy. It's incredibly difficult. You're on the verge of life and death, right? Because it's just so big and important. But then when the birth happens, it's all over with. And so the whole point behind that is just like, it just feels like with all of these planets in right now, as I'm recording this in 2024, and as we move into 2025 and through that year, there's a lot of things that can look like very scary and very much ending. And it is true, but is in preparation for what comes next. So take your life and look at your life, because you can control what's going on in your life, and find that safety, that security, that comfort. And I'm here the whole way because I do these forecasts all the time. And I think I'm going to leave us with that. The forecast, you can read it on my blog. And you guys, I do Patreon, and it is a weekly forecast. We go deep every week. We talk about the next week. I go deep. And that is how we can use the astrology and the day-to-day stuff. This forecast is something that's quite general. And come join me there, and I will walk you through it. And that is the whole purpose of these things, to give us the support from the energy that's out there. Good, bad, ugly, beautiful, doesn't matter. We're all going to work through this one step at a time. So do that too. And I'll see you again next time. Blessings, everybody. Namaste.